The big debate that's not going, well, there's no negotiation on that really, is visas being issued to people fleeing Gaza. Mm-hmm. So Peter Dutton's come out this morning and said this should stop entirely, partly off what we heard from the ASIO boss saying, well, people can have support rhetorically for Hamas. That wouldn't preclude them from entering. And that's led the opposition to say, well, these people could be a risk to Australia. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's deeply problematic in terms of social cohesion, where you're basically saying to Palestinian Australians that you're worth less than Afghans or Ukrainians, because we saw how the former government dealt with Afghanistan, 5,000 humanitarian visas. With Ukraine, we think we've seen 11,000. With Palestinians, I think there's been 7. Despite what's happening there, despite with the thousands of people who've been applying to try and get family and friends out. And so I'm really concerned about this sort of politics, because there are desperate people over there. We can't solve this crisis here, but I think we can play our role in the international community and I guess act in line with how we've acted in other conflicts.
But I guess if we were acting in line, we wouldn't give people visitor visas, which is what the government did. We'd wait until they were in Egypt or some other third country, process them properly, do biometric tests with various nations, even Israel if necessary. I think this is the opposition's point of view. Mm-hmm. And so they've kind of been let in through this backdoor way with like an hour's check or 24 hours check. And I sort of can, look, I can see the government's argument there was no time, Egypt was going to kick them out. But as a consequence of that, you're probably creating a bigger security risk, aren't you? Isn't it time the government said, let's not do the visitor visas. Let's see if anyone gets out and let's do a proper protection process if we're going to let people through.
Well, I've been pushing them to actually have a process for humanitarian visas, and that's what people are asking for. We know how difficult it has been to cross the border and get out of Gaza. And we've seen other countries try and find workarounds with Egypt, with Israel, but more needs to be done. I'm just not seeing the level of urgency that I think so many Australians would like to see them play our small part in this, in helping people.
And would you do what I think the government's doing and restrict it to people with family ties here? Because that does seem, in terms of social cohesion and ease, I mean, how else do you measure who should come here under those circumstances?
Well, I guess this is a question for the government. How did they decide on 5,000 humanitarian places for Afghans? Why have they only given 7 to people trying to get out of Gaza? I think these are questions we should be asking as Australians of our leaders. Where is the consistency here?
Well, the opposition